Okay, so tomorrow I don't plan to make or post any videos, but I might anyway. Today I want to talk about a wonderfully uplifting and simple article titled How Jewish Activism Has Virtually Wiped Out Tay-Sachs. It's from bluejeans.org, BLU jeans.org. Please note that I haven't really thoroughly investigated this website. I just remembered a news headline and then Googled the headline I vaguely recalled, and then I clicked on this article. So if this is like a sketchy outlet, then my apologies. So basically, rates of this terrible disease, Tay-Sachs, have lowered by 90% in the Jewish community since genetic screening for this began in the 1970s. That's amazing. So this is a remarkable triumph, obviously, and maybe many people outside the community are not really aware of it. But it involved, obviously, no threat of coercion, displacement, violence, death, property theft, or anything else that people might think of when they think of aggressively getting rid of a certain disease in certain communities, thanks to certain historical issues, if you know what I mean. So this victory within the community sets an example for, I think, pretty much every community out there. It was based on volunteerist screening rather than, say, coercive, state-backed, or violently generated eugenics or something like that, So I'd recommend learning about this topic. The basic idea here is that we're going to get screening done. Some people will have kids together, others won't. And in the meantime, and ultimately, nobody's going to get hurt, right? The community's only going to get safer. If you're the sort of person who learns about things like the repository for germinal choice and the topic of genius sperm banks, you might think, yeah, I really like that, because it gives people the option, gives women the option to seek out, say, the seed of like a veritable genius or something. In theory, it's a great idea. In practice, I don't really know if everyone's going to end up looking like Dolph Lundgren, even though it would be better for people to look all sorts of ways while having the intellect of Gregory Perlman. But, this is something to get the gears in your mind turning. When people think of that terrible, sort of ominous, loaded, spooky word eugenics, they often think of the Nazis, But if you just think of this article and its implications for what can be done to sort of minimize the rate of certain diseases in society, you think, oh, hey, we don't have to coerce anyone into or out of anything. We can just provide incentives for screening, and then, the kids you have will be much less likely to have certain conditions, certain afflictions, rather. So this is important to me because I'm not particularly worried about Tay-Sachs or anything, but I am concerned that if I ever do choose to have kids, I need to make sure that my spouse is not going to have an unusual susceptibility to type 2 diabetes in the same way that I do, So some of you out there think, well, love is love, and you should just love and have kids with whoever you feel sufficiently selfless affection toward. And I think, proper parenting has roots in much deeper planning than can be induced by nothing more than warm feelings and an unmistakable sense of promise about someone or your partnership with someone. So do read this article, do let it warm your heart, and do realize that a safer world is possible, and obviously it doesn't have to involve constructing some kind of artifice through which we violate people's rights, their safety, their humanity, their dignity, their sanity, their property, their futures, in order to reduce the rates of certain genetically derived diseases in the population. With adequate planning and testing and sort of empathetic, kind care for one another, we can smoke out and eliminate diseases, and we don't need the state or some violent entity involved in this process at all, okay? All right, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Stay sharp and sober, and God bless you. And thank you, Jewish community, for publishing reports about this.